Welcome to another Shooting Blanks Entertainment Presents the Commentators Podcast. I'm Kramer. Stop doing that. I'm Kramer.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Juan.
And I'm Tom. Sometimes.
And today we are talking Stranger Things. Woo. I don't know how the theme song went. How did it go?
Stranger Things and Kramer.
Somebody be a letter moving around.
Somebody just let us move. Go right. Go right.
Left.
All right, we're good.
Did that font look familiar? Or was it just like the stereotypical like books from that time had that font?
It's like the Stephen King style font.
Okay.
Like
I thought
for
it looked
those old
familiar.
books. I saw a whole thing on how they made the intro.
I saw the video and didn't watch it. Now I regret it.
Okay, you know what I was talking about? I don't click stuff. This was the one I clicked.
Out of all of them, that was a good click.
It was like they looked up a whole bunch of fonts from like all those Stephen King and old sci-fi books and stuff like that. I forgot which one they picked, and they kind of like that's how they made the intro.
That's cool.
That's I think the main thing I loved about this show. Well, one of the 50 things I loved about this show was that they referenced...
I want number 49 only.
They referenced so many different things without directly referencing it.
Yeah.
Visual references are really big.
Yeah, like the whole, like the Stephen King lettering.
Mm-hmm.
They managed to do E.T. with the bikes without actually doing like the iconic scene.
Somebody said this was like what Super 8 should have been. Because Super 8 was trying to be like
I
that.
can see that.
I completely agree. Because like when I first started watching it, I started getting the Super 8. Super 8?
Yeah, Super 8.
Yeah, and they even shot that on
8.
Was it? On film?
Yeah, 8mm.
I know that was supposed to come off as clever on their part, but I just didn't get it at the time. I was like, what?
80 or 8?
Yeah.
I think it might be 80.
Something.
Yeah, either way, it's an 8.
Yeah, that old film.
Yeah, but that one, Super 8 just kind of felt like it was its own story that didn't really, I don't know, didn't really capture the feeling.
It ran parallel.
What?
I said it ran parallel to E.T. kind of. You know, it was like same kind of built story, but delivered differently.
Yeah,
modernized a little bit.
Yeah, it was very modernized. Whereas this one was like, no, if somebody had like shown me this and they're like, no, this was filmed in the 80s.
Yeah.
If not for like some of the, like the special effects where I knew they couldn't do it in the 80s.
I don't know. Some of them looked 80s.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maggie recently just like this past weekend saw the first 3 Star Wars movies. And one of the things that she said stuck out to her. She was like, how did they do this in the 70s?
Puppets.
Yeah.
Stop
motion,
really good
puppets.
ones.
Like they actually worked really hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like the Demogorgon, if they had done that in puppets,
That would have been really scary.
I think it would have looked better. Because
Yeah.
that was the only thing that I didn't like about it was how it came out differently. Like, I don't know. It looked a little too fake for what everything else looked like. Everything else looked really realistic, shot great, and then it's just like, here's this random CG thing.
it's what breaks the illusion of the 80s, I guess.
Yeah. I was like, oh, man,
But
this reminds me of like Resident Evil.
You
the
get that
first
with
one.
like a lot of like reveals too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a crawler.
Oh, like a lot of reveals is that like since they only show him so much in the whole like episode, it's like Jaws. You build up to it until you actually see him, and it kind of takes a little bit of that like
It does.
away.
But when they do show
The
Jaws, he
tension.
looks like a fucking stupid shark.
Is this what we're scared of?
All the Jaws, like all the little fins was amazing, and then the shark goes, oh! And I'm like, no.
I was scared of that as a kid. Fucking Jaws.
I can see that. It's a fucking shark.
That's why Terminator was so terrifying, because everything looked like Jaws. And then Terminator came out and you were like, oh my God.
Dude, in Terminator 1, I had nightmares when he starts ripping his eyeball out.
Whoa.
I was just like, oh my God, I shouldn't be watching this guy.
Yeah, same. I was like, I'm too young for this.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's like, oh no.
Oh, man.
Or like body modification horror. That stuff's weird.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Terminator was like way too real for when it came out.
But like in Stranger Things, like it totally, I feel like they got that 80s vibe like perfect.
Nailed it.
100%.
Definitely.
I feel
Even the
like
old Millennium
late
Falcon they got.
70s, man.
Yeah.
I felt it was still really reminiscent of late 70s because it hadn't really like gotten to the 80s yet. Everybody still had that vest. They were
Oh,
still
yeah.
kind of wearing bell bottoms at times. Hipper kids were already wearing the skinny jeans. You could see
A lot of brown clothes
No.
on the adults.
What,
Yeah.
what I
Brown
felt
was
70s
big.
brown, yeah.
What I
Big
felt was
glasses.
still
Orange and
80s,
yellow.
but like suburban 80s, like in smaller towns where trends don't get out as quick.
That's what I'm saying. Like everything was really reminiscent of the late 70s.
And they don't say when in the 80s it is, just it's in the 80s. Did they? Maybe I missed
I
that.
think they said a year at some
It's
point.
83.
83?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's still, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
already, you know, like we just got out of the 70s. You're trying to figure out the 80s. Hold on.
It's not weird yet, guys.
It's not weird yet, yeah.
And I love the
yet.
fact that because it's the 80s, instead of them being like video game nerds, it starts off with Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly.
Yes.
The whole
Still
thing
70s.
is Dungeons and Dragons throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole
Yeah.
show.
They
It's just
yeah.
the whole reference.
They tell you the whole story of like what's going to happen with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
It's
The
awesome.
Veil of Shadows? Yes.
That's one of my favorite parts, again, because like I was a big fan of X-Files when I was younger.
Yeah, me too.
And they never, in X-Files, they don't go out and say like, oh, this is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's always what Mulder thinks happened. And it's usually like
There's
there's one
always Scully being a bitch going down. I know that weird thing happened, but nope.
there's one version where like Mulder, there's one episode where Mulder tells the story and the guy has like really big buck teeth and like all this stuff is really exaggerated. And then it shows what Scully saw happened. The guy just had like a little bit of an overbite and like shit like that. But like that's the same with the Stranger Things. You don't get the scientists from the compound explaining what happened.
Yeah.
You just get the kids' interpretation through Dungeons and Dragons
That's
and
true.
how they understand it.
And how like you have to put your own pieces together, even if they don't understand it or they haven't explained it. You put them together yourself.
You're doing it the whole time. That's
Yeah.
how it is with thrillers or anything like that.
and I like that. It's
Yeah,
like
it was
it's not
good.
saying we're gonna spell everything out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it still didn't. Even at the end, you're just like, what the fuck's going on?
Oh yeah, because even at the end they gave you another like, what?
Are we doing spoilers? Can we do spoilers?
We've already
Yeah.
done spoilers, kind of.
Yeah, we'll do spoilers definitely.
I gotta say, though, the nerd in me died whenever he dropped that Millennium Falcon toy.
Me too. I was gonna bring that up.
so expensive.
That's what I said. I was like, is that a legit toy? Oh, it is. Oh no.
You son of a bitch.
But if you think about it, back then it wasn't like the collector's piece it is now.
I know,
that
but-
thing cost like
but-
$8 then.
But the current me was
I
dying.
know.
But you gotta I snapped right out of like the fourth wall and realized from like the real world point of view, I was like, they just shot that like last year. That toy's worth so much money.
Yeah, we bought 2 of them just in case.
That
Right?
one toy was half of Stranger Things budget.
I'd like to think that they borrowed it from someone. They're like, let us use part of your collection so we can film this thing.
Yeah,
And they
be
returned
careful.
it broken. The guy just cries.
What if there was a guy under there to catch it and then they just superimposed the sound of it hitting the floor? Because they're like, we can't break one of these.
You know
I
what?
hope so.
I hope, yeah. That'd be
I hope
awesome.
there was like an insane budget stunt crew trained specifically just to make sure that toy didn't break.
Guys, either we break this toy or we eat. It's one or the other.
They had to have something like that because then they'd have to drop the toy. If it was that, because they usually do multiple shots. What if they
right.
dropped 50 of them before they got the right shot and just broke 50 of those toys?
Oh, there's a line of Star Wars nerds, each handing over a toy and crying.
That's so perfect.
Hey, whoever has the last one.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Or maybe that his take
How many
was the
are
last
left?
one.
Yeah, it's like, so
Look,
how
guys.
many are left? Mine and the one that they used in Stranger Things that has a crack in it.
Yeah.
How much is yours worth? 2-3 billion. You know how much people have Star Wars?
What if they did all 50 of them and they're like, no, let's use take 3?
Take 3, yeah.
That would suck.
I'd see it too as like, oh, we only got one left, guys. Come on, let's do this.
You know, the first one was good, and I knew it, but
I should trust
Safety.
my gut.
safety.
Yeah, you gotta have extra shots just in
Yeah.
case. If the lighting was a little weird, you gotta make sure.
I didn't want to get a call from the editor saying we needed something else. I just shot it all. It's all good.
I also had a similar feeling when I saw them like break the camera. I don't remember the kid's name. I don't remember anybody's names.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. I was like, not the camera. That's all he's got.
I know.
He's so sad.
I know,
Yeah.
especially like me and you, because we're the ones who have our cameras and we're like, don't break them, don't break them.
Yeah.
And you just see the guy throw the camera like,
Blind.
no.
Those were expensive back then.
They were.
Everything was expensive.
I love the music in all of Stranger Things.
Yes,
Oh,
the music
man.
was great.
The pure like analog synths of everything.
When Toto came on Africa.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God. I was just like,
When I started watching it, Maggie had already seen it like twice in a row, and I was just sitting next to her watching it. And, like this was her third time, so she was like spacing in and out. And I just started singing that song when it came on with it, and she looked at me so judgingly.
I'm sorry, this is amazing.
It's so good, but the poly synths,
Yeah.
or just the analog synths, was just it sounded so good.
It was very like tension. Like you had good tension at times, and
They save so much money, man.
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
That's all I keep thinking is they save so much money on scoring that thing. That's just like, I got Pro Tools and a MIDI keyboard. We
Do
got
it.
this.
Yeah, you're right, because it's just one guy with the keyboard, not actually writing a composition, just holding down the spooky sounds.
Actually, when I'm thinking of the intro, you literally have to hold down one note and then just make it do a scale.
And then the
It'll do a scale,
arpeggiator,
and
you just hold down the
arpeggiate
arpeggiator.
it, yeah.
And then, it's like when we were in the studio that one time when we wrote that song with Vance.
Yeah.
And he played what we thought was Dragon Force.
Oh yeah.
Because it was nothing but arpeggios, and we're like, oh my god, there was his fingers all over the keyboard, and we looked down, he's just pressing one button.
Ah.
That arpeggiator to
Because I do that one, and the one button that goes, bah.
Yeah, I found a giant horn distorted. And it works beautifully.
What about the cast?
The cat 11.
Did you like
choice.
everyone?
Good choice.
I don't remember. I want to say yes.
Let's start
Yeah.
with the kids, I guess. The
kids
main
were
characters.
perfect.
Yeah, no,
All
yeah.
of them were great.
All of them were
Yeah.
great.
I cannot remember a single name.
No, neither. Toothless Kid was my favorite.
Yes.
Dustin?
Yeah.
Justin?
Dustin.
Dustin.
I was calling him Toothless, like from the Dragon movie.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite character.
Is he really toothless?
Huh?
Is he
don't know.
really toothless?
There was an
I
article
thought
about
looking
that.
it up.
There's an article, but I didn't read it. What were you going to say, Tom?
The Lucas kid reminded me so much of Stevie sometimes, just his mannerisms and the way he spoke.
Wait, which one was Lucas?
Lucas,
Black kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he reminded me of Stevie from Malcolm in the Middle. Like his just the mannerisms of the way he spoke sometimes reminded me of him. It was so weird.
I think it's
I was
because he
just
had he was like, guys.
Yeah, he
Oh,
had that
okay.
like he had weird pausey breaths, and it was a weird like
He was using the actor's #1 acting method, the dramatic pause.
there's a whole lot of dramaticness. Yeah, I don't know. It just reminded me a whole lot of Stevie. It was his voice too. His voice sounds like his. I was just like, I kept snapping into Malcolm in the Middle every time he spoke. I was like, this is a weird connection.
I like the good dynamic that he had with like the main character, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
how they're like, yeah, we're friends, but like, you're being an asshole, man.
Yeah.
Snap out of it.
It didn't feel like a whole, like, it was very, I guess that's also where, like, some references go back to, like, Goonies.
Yeah.
Where they're like, they're all friends, but some of them are kind of more assholes than others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, you
and
can just always be assholes at a time.
then there's
Yeah.
the
There's
one
always gonna be
that's,
problems.
You know, the one that's like, you're both assholes. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
That was great. I
Yeah.
love that moment.
It's preparing them for puberty.
That Dustin
when one gets
kid.
a girlfriend and stops hanging out with the other ones.
Yeah.
Then his girlfriend dies in a big puffy, flashy explosion dust.
Oh my God.
cloud thing.
And you just finished that episode, like not right before we started recording this. And me and
true.
Brandon walked in, we're like, oh, well, let's go get energy drinks. But then we just sat and watched that scene. And we left. I was still crying.
It's a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
11 was such a good character.
That was-
She was so
Yeah.
good.
Best
really
actress
good.
in the whole show.
I thought that was a boy at first. Did
Yeah.
anyone else
Yeah,
say
no,
that?
I did.
Yeah.
Until the guy, I feel like they did that on purpose where the guy was like, what's your name? Like referencing her as a girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's a girl. Oh, okay. Like that's put in there on purpose because she does kind of
Yeah.
look like a little boy.
Did
Yeah.
anyone else feel really sad when that guy died?
Yes.
I was like,
Instantly.
son of a bitch.
I was like, why? He's a good guy.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't realize at this point that anybody would die in the series.
I didn't know it was that type of show either.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a completely family-friendly show at first because like there was a couple of horror things going on, but you know, like with when the Will disappears, you don't actually see him die.
It's not
Yeah, there's
brutally.
nothing like
Yeah, it's just
Put out
he
there.
just disappears. They don't show anything.
Yeah.
And then like she comes out and the guy's taking care of her, and I'm like, this will be pretty good. They're probably just going to tranquilize him. No, shot
Bam.
through the eyes.
Yeah.
They didn't really do that anymore. No one got like
Did they?
brutal kills like that.
No, she.
except
she
all
killed-
of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
all died.
Oh,
like
that's
that.
right at the end.
There was a lot of blood.
There's
at
a
the
lot
end.
of bullets.
I was gonna say Elle killed the shit out of like some people.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more just like straight gunshot to the head type. Like,
Okay,
where
yeah.
you're not expecting it.
Not a traditional kill.
Yeah.
No,
Not a cold blooded.
That's good though because like
Kill.
that was the way they killed him was when that lady comes out and she's like, "So isn't everybody else here?" Nope, good. Like and then just a
Yeah.
gunshot. That was good surprise for you to realize, oh shit, this is like some serious like secret government
Yeah,
conspiracy
I
shit.
actually saw that coming.
I thought they were going to tranquilize him or something. I didn't know it was going to be that much.
Yeah, I didn't think he would die.
That's
like,
why they dictated it.
No,
that
they
early.
had to
They're
make
just
sure,
like,
'cause-
this is what we're doing.
They're like, you're the only person that's ever seen her? Good. Bow.
As soon as she said that, I was like, oh no. But I just didn't think you were going to shoot him right then and there.
I don't know if
Yeah,
it was
I know, I
like
saw
I
that.
didn't think it was going to go that way or I didn't want it to go that way.
Maybe
Because he
it
was
was
such a
both.
likable character.
And he was only there for like 10 minutes.
No,
Yeah.
that lady had that like ominous aura about her as soon as she came on screen. Though.
No, I knew something was going to happen.
like she had that like I'm from social services at
Yeah.
12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Her
After that moment, though, like I was afraid every time I saw her talking to someone by herself. Like when was it her that talked to the
Yes.
teacher?
Oh yeah, I thought she was gonna kill
I was
everyone.
like, oh no,
No,
don't kill the teacher, please.
No, no.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I was pretty sure she was murdering everybody she
Yeah.
came in contact with after that.
Same.
That's why I thought it was gonna be like the whole like Men in Black thing where they just like might wipe your memory or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it's just murder.
No.
This is murder.
But it's more like real.
Yeah.
Like
No, I
real
totally saw
sci-fi.
her as like Amanda Waller.
Oh.
Oh
Like
yeah.
everybody she comes in contact with is probably gonna die.
I like the interaction they had with the sheriff because the sheriff comes in like right after that scene.
Yeah.
Who's my second favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
What was it, Hopper?
Yeah,
His-
he's so awesome.
His
Yeah.
opening line of mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, yes. I can't talk to anybody unless I've drank coffee.
He
And
was really good. Like,
Yeah.
I liked how I thought he was going to be such an asshole at first because of how he was, and
The way
Yeah.
he woke up, I was like, this is kind of like a douchey morning.
yeah,
But you realize he's going to be like that cool, like he's kind of like he has some problems, but he's going to be a really cool character
Yeah.
when he does go to do the investigation. And they're like,
Yeah.
you've been a city cop, you should be used to this. And he's like, yeah, but this guy was my friend. I didn't
Yeah.
know any of those people. That
That's-
part like got to me. I was like, ah, shit.
that's a little different. Yeah,
This guy is going to be a Fields train.
but yeah, he had good like development, like
Yeah,
overall, because you think
definitely.
he's just going to be like he's kind of an asshole. He's like even when he goes to talk to the investigation about Will, he's just kind of like kids just run away, whatever. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's just going to be like a pain in the ass the whole time.
Well,
Yeah.
But he cares like so much.
Because it hit close to home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He lost his daughter.
yeah.
Does anybody else think that maybe his daughter might be 11?
I thought about that.
no.
No, because
A
they
little.
say the daughter is some other girl.
They actually
No,
meet her mother.
They say that,
You think
but that could just be somebody they tested on.
they would have had to like
What?
fake the whole like cancer thing that she had?
Well, no,
No, she
I'm
had
saying
cancer.
like, think about the ending, the very, very ending. He went out into the middle of the
Oh,
woods.
yeah.
I'm
He put
assuming he's
Eggos.
leaving that for L, who's on the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah.
side.
And why would he give a shit if he
it-
didn't have?
Exactly. And did they make him do it like it's his job now, or is he doing it because they revealed something to him that pulls on his emotional strings?
I always
That's
felt
what
like,
I'm more the second version. I figured he knows something now.
Because there's a reason they even let him go to begin with. They were going to kill him right there.
They let him live after all of that,
But
right?
he seemed to have had a lot more of a emotional investment in it after he talked to them.
They have to have a stupid amount of dirt on him to just be like, oh, he's not going to say anything because this is the truth.
Well, I also
Yeah.
feel like in terms of like they looked at it logically for like the one guy in the cafeteria or not the cafeteria the restaurant you kill him off everybody thinks like something happened, he might have killed himself, but when and then a sheriff is investigating something and then he disappears,
That's true.
Yeah,
that seems a lot more suspicious than just a random guy dying where there was nothing suspicious at the time. But like this guy everybody knows he's doing an investigation. It's a lot harder to cover that up, so they figured just scare the shit out of him.
Yeah, that would start too much talk. It's like, well, I don't know if you should go messing around with that company. Last guy
Yeah.
that did disappeared.
I like to think they kind of just had like a mutual, like, just respect kind of at the end. Because as soon as he left the hospital, he gets into the car with those guys, and then he's living back his normal life. So maybe they have some kind of weird agreement of like, look, I'm not gonna say anything. Don't abduct our children anymore. Don't do, things like this, and maybe I'll kind of help cover it up.
I forgot
the-
about
on-
that part at the end. I
Maybe.
think there's something deeper there.
I'm saying maybe like on the chance that like they don't try to go back for 11, and he can just keep like helping her. I don't know.
I don't know.
Like there's too many questions and
It
theories
seems
like
like
you can go from there.
He's a babysitter, maybe, or kind of like a handler.
A
at
handler
this-
would be a good
at
one.
this
Like you keep
moment.
in contact with her
Yeah.
because she obviously doesn't trust any of us.
It's almost like a CIA agent on the other side.
Yeah,
It's like, here's some food, you'll be good. Got some Eggos.
And that would make sense because like him and the kids got further than they ever did.
Yep.
With like going into the upside down.
the upside down.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to think of a technical name for it, but no, it's just the upside
the
down.
upside
It's just parallel universe or
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
alternate plane.
The Veil of Shadow.
Yeah.
The Veil of Shadows.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of believe that she's his daughter. Like she had cancer and she died, and then how they maybe can revive a dead child. The child's dead, so obviously everyone thinks she's gone, so she has no more identity.
Or like maybe she was gonna survive, but they played it to where like to everyone else she died, and they just treated her on her own.
But the story
maybe,
that her supposed mother that like he ends up meeting was that she didn't know she was pregnant while she was in a program. Like for them, if it was his daughter and they picked her up after like she had cancer or something, that means that they would have had to go out and find her, and there would sort of been something specific with her already. But it makes, at least to me, it makes more sense for a lady to be in a program, and while she's in that program where they're trying to enhance people, and then she has a kid, and the kid has already been infected in the womb and stuff. Brandon just raised his hands, like he had this a moment.
I had like a quick realization when she started freaking out in the playground or something. Like that's initially when the disease set on. What if that was just her seeing the Upside Down or something?
That's what
she
it
was
looked like.
Freaking out, seeing it, and it's like, oh, what's wrong? And then they find out. It's like, okay, we do want you. In which case, that would be a quicker little tie if they wanted to go that route.
We'll find
because
out.
Think about it.
Like
she was really young. Technically, you could play off she's age, so she looks different.
They never showed the daughters. Did they show the daughter face?
Yeah, it did.
No,
She
did.
looked a lot
But
like
she was
her.
young.
Like she
Yeah.
did look a lot like her though. Even when because they showed her when she had cancer in the hospital bed with her head shaved, and she looked like Elle.
That's
Yeah.
possible.
But just really young. So
Yeah.
they're just like, why don't you have hair? It's like,
Season 2? Season 2?
That's why, like, when he was like, "Hey, what?"
So you think then that? What about the lady that is the mom, or claim that was supposed to be the mom? Did she just not have her kid, or was it really just like a miscarriage, and she thinks that they stole the baby?
Yeah,
I like to
It
think
could
that's
be.
like that one's the more logical.
That she really did have a miscarriage, and everyone.
No, I think I think
they
Ella's
stole
her
that
daughter,
baby. Yeah.
and they stole her daughter.
yeah. They probably stole her daughter
unless,
too.
Hooper
unless
would
they're
be the
pulling a
dad?
curveball where they're like,
No.
No, he's pretty much just saying that they're separate. That she actually did go into MK Ultra not knowing she was pregnant, have the child. They took it from her and said, "Oh, you had a miscarriage, but she's actually fine," and that's just Elle. It's a completely separate thing from the.
Yeah,
it could also be.
Oh, I thought you were saying they're the same.
no, because Elle is 11,
Yeah.
which means there were 10 subjects before her.
Oh, okay. So you're saying
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ! What the entire thing, and I never thought of that.
I thought about that. I thought about that when they first introduced the character, but then throughout the rest of the series, they kept going on with it. And I was like, I
So
completely
there's
forgot about the rest
definitely
of them.
other children. That just
Yeah.
means he found another one of those children.
Do you think
found that
Hooper's
one.
daughter
Good point.
was one of those children?
I think his daughter is 11.
Unless the adults that they had
I
in
don't get
there
it.
were 1 through, because remember
Two different theories.
Oh, okay.
because the mom could have been remember because she had it when she was in that program.
Yeah.
What if those people were the original 1 through 10, and they were
And
only supposed to
Elle's
have 10
number.
And she's the
subjects?
11.
Yeah, she's the 11th one because
I'm
they were only
pointing to
supposed to have
the
10
stomach.
subjects.
Secret 11. Oh, that could be
Successful
cool.
one.
But see, that's
But that's a different program. So I kind of think.
No, it's all the same
no,
program.
it's the same program.
Oh,
They were
I
trying to
thought
make
they
it
were in-
superhuman.
Yeah, but MK Ultra was a little different than what they were making L do.
Well, that's because
because
after MK Ultra, when they have
Very
like that kind of
little
byproduct,
difference, though. That shit's pretty on. As long as they didn't give her LSD,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that made MK Ultra.
I think it's
LSD.
they started off with MK Ultra, but then when L came about, they're like, "Oh, we've got something here. Let's go with this."
So
That's one thing. So it's a different program. They're using remote viewing like for her
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff.
But the cool thing is big. That's again why I like the series so much. They may never explain it.
yeah. Actually, they said that they weren't going to do much of a continuation on the story.
That's fine.
That it's just
Yeah.
going to be a new thing.
I would like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need everything
There's
explained.
ties.
All those cool little like things you can make up on your own. You fill in the
Yeah.
blanks, and sometimes if they tell you, it may not be as good as something you could have thought of. Or
Yep.
Exactly. Well, and like I said, that's why I love X-Files so much, because it's never like a concrete thing like, oh yeah, this is what happened.
Yeah, that's
you get
true.
to sit there and think about it later, which is why I think like people love this so much, because they can sit there and talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's not like, okay, well that was cool and I know everything now, so I can move on.
yeah.
Like, no, you can't move on because you need to know what happened.
Maybe that's why they
Exactly.
said it in the 80s, because they were trying to give that 80s show vibe. Because now everything is just, people are stupid, so everything's just like, here you
exposition
go.
to the extreme.
Well, and the fact too is like anything with like modern technology, you can be like, well, why didn't they just do this, or why didn't they use that?
Yeah.
But in the '80s, you're like, oh, well, all these resources that we have now, and to people, they're not available back then.
That's true as
Exactly.
well.
So it makes things a little harder. Like, why didn't that guy just call someone on his cell phone? Like, well, they didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Like, there's no internet.
That's why modern mysteries and modern thrillers really don't work in the box office anymore. Because
Yeah.
it's kind of like there's so many plot holes.
Exactly.
So many plot
So you
holes.
set it in a time where none of that stuff is around.
Readily available.
And
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, it becomes a little more believable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dial it back a decade or two.
Yeah. Although after a while, you're going to have to start putting it back farther.
Yeah. Oh, man. We're about to be in
All
the
of our
same
TV
decade.
for the next 45 years is all going to be set in the 80s.
I'm fine with that. I have no problems.
Yeah, that's cool.
In the future now, they're just going to be like, remember when those cell phones could just like check the internet and call and text? Not display holograms and do all this crazy stuff.
They make food.
They have cell phones with projectors in them.
That's true. But they're not.
They're not
We're already
holograms,
there, one.
but
Look,
they're getting there.
Okay, but we don't have them yet. Like to the point where none of us has one yet. They're not
Yeah.
like everyday uses yet.
It's not marketable.
Well, I think it's because they realized that technology was stupid and only like 2 or 3 phones had it because nobody was buying it.
Yeah.
Because why the hell would you want a damn projector on your phone?
Also, Juan will never get it because he's had the same phone for half a decade.
This is true.
Yes. Juan keeps phones for a long ass time. I remember he had that Razor for like 15
Oh,
years.
I
yeah.
had it
Brutal.
for the recommended 2 years until I could get a new phone.
You had that Razor way longer than 2 years.
I did.
I know.
Because
you
you
had
had
it
that
longer
Razor
than that.
7 years after it was cool.
No, I did get it. I did get it like a good 6 years like after they were done because at this point they were free and I broke my phone and they were like, well, all we have is this one you could pay for or this free Razor. And I was like, fine, just give me the Razor.
The Razor again.
And they're like, okay, cool, that counts. Next 2 years you get another one. I'm like, no. Can only hold 30 text messages.
God damn it.
Jesus.
That phone.
I hated that. And you know what? What makes it worse is that I hated that phone when it came out and I got stuck with it for a long period of time.
Really? Because I envied you when you had that phone. Because I still had that singular brick.
Yeah, you did. You
That thing that would not break.
guys have the crappiest phones of all time.
Yeah.
I hated the Razor so much.
Oh, man.
And not much has changed. You both have pretty crappy
No,
phones.
we both pretty have crappy phones.
Oh,
You have a really old Galaxy, and I have a Galaxy knockoff.
Bland.
Mine has a crack now too. So
The
Oh, man.
another thing I was going to touch on.
yeah.
I started the sentence knowing what I was going to say. And then, oh no, here we go.
Phrasing.
The did anybody get really frustrated with the Steve arc?
Steve.
No?
The
How so?
How he
Like-
was just like
I like
against
Steve.
everyone?
wait,
How he's douchey.
who is
and
Steve?
then
Am I
comes
saying
back.
the right one?
Yeah.
Steve's the asshole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the fucking big hair.
Yeah, Pompadour Steve. Fucking hated Steve.
I like Steve.
You like Steve?
Yeah, I like Steve.
Oh, dude, I hated him.
Really?
I really love seeing him.
Wait.
Like
Now I'm
take a few.
confused.
Steve
steps
is
to the,
the
face.
girl's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Who had the really pimply friend, and then his really bitchy girlfriend.
Yes.
She was a bitch.
I fucking
After you stopped being
hated
a
Steve.
dick, he wasn't so bad.
But you know what? He earned my respect on the last episode,
Yeah.
and I changed my mind.
Yeah. Well,
that's
he
what
earned
I'm
it
saying.
back. I still think she should have broken up with him.
Yeah, I could see
probably.
that.
But you know what? I felt like he changed enough. I was like,
Yeah.
deep down, he's a good guy, but he's got such shitty friends that he's shitty. Once he got rid of
life-changing
him-
see
shit
that, I guess.
happen.
I
Yeah.
understood
Too.
that the pressures of high school make you a
Oh
douche.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's cool to
definitely.
be an asshole, like, you know, to
Back then.
other kids, and
Yeah.
especially back
Yeah.
then, where it was like super jocks versus nerds.
I just remember I hated him the whole series, and then when I told Brandon to watch it, I was like, "You should watch it." He's like, "Cool, I'm probably gonna start it tonight." And that was like in the morning when I
Yeah.
texted you, and then he texted me at 8, and he's like, "I fucking hate Steve," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I'm almost done with Stranger Things."
Yeah, and I
hate
just
his
saw
dumb
him, like
face.
fucking. Yes, I saw him get his face beat, and I was like, "This is so satisfying."
right?
Like, this is
It
amazing.
was satisfying, and that's when you just let the hate for him go. You're like,
As soon
you
as
know
he's
what?
like,
No,
"Can
I held
clean
on.
that?" I was like,
It's 'cause it-
okay, he's
like-
being nice to this guy. Oh god.
It's exactly what you as an audience wanted, and it happened to
happened.
him, which clearly seemed like he had never been beat up.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Because it totally changed him. It humbled him. Like, he was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that was the turning point. That was the revelation
Yeah.
of it. You're like, okay.
So, in a sense, he has a really good arc. Because at first I was like, first he's just trying to bang this girl. That's
Yeah.
all he wants.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, well, no, he kind of cares for her, and deep down he's a good guy. And he's trying. He's at least trying.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
They initially set him up like the typical '80s jock
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Oh
with
my
It's
God.
like, look at
the
this
friends.
guy's dumb
Yeah.
face.
His friends,
hate his dumb face.
his friends, the guy and his girlfriend that clearly like.
dude.
God. They're horrible people.
They're
right?
horrible people.
Dude, I loved his like hero scene. It was
Oh.
great when he just came in out of nowhere. Like,
Started swinging.
wow.
Yeah.
Started
I was
beating
like,
the shit out of that thing, and he's like ducking and dodging. I was like,
like,
oh
touche.
shit.
I'm not gonna lie, I
Touche.
kind of was hoping he was gonna die.
Really?
You know what?
I really wanted him to die in that
I wasn't
scene.
hoping that he would die because at that point I was like, no, live. But then I was like, please don't kill him. Like, I could see it happening, but I didn't want it.
No, I wanted it.
Why?
No, dude, his moves were too good. I was just like, oh shit.
He was bobbing and weaving.
Yeah,
He
but
came back to help them. Like, I thought that was so big of of him to put everything aside and just like, he doesn't know what's going on. He sees a crazy monster and he's just going to help them. Like,
As far
no
as he knows,
asked.
like his chick just like dumped him for this other guy.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know what? I care about her. So whatever.
If he was an asshole, he could have been like, you know what? Yeah, I'm out of here. I just saw something crazy. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
That's true. Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm going to come back. I'm going to help him and her.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted the I can't remember his name. The Will's older brother,
God damn it.
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jonathan.
I really wanted Jonathan to be the one to take down the Demogorgon.
Mm-hmm.
Was there another name for that, or was it just Demogorgon?
It was just the
Yeah, that's what they
Demogorgon.
called it.
Yeah, I really wanted him to take it down.
He kind of did. Well, no. he
Well,
didn't.
they set up that plan and he got
burned
it,
him.
but he didn't kill it.
Yeah,
No, but he said like got it to disappear.
It's
Yeah,
too,
it's
it's
still
too
pretty good.
intricate, man. He was thinking too big.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it was like
Nah,
it was like a
rig of pulleys. And
no. What
shit.
they had was the mousetrap scheme, where it was like all these things
yeah,
go
yeah,
off.
He home alone the shit out of that.
Yeah, he did.
We know how
He was
slow he
Home
walks,
Alone.
right? Okay, 150 dominoes are going to go down in a cylinder. Jesus Christ.
When the Demogorgon comes out, knock over the dominoes. We'll wait 5 minutes.
When he was explaining the plan, it sounded much more intricate than we're going to set a bear trap in the hallway and run.
Yeah, that's
Right?
what it was.
And then light him on fire while he's stuck in the bear trap. I was
I
like,
don't think
okay.
he ever once mentioned the fire when he was explaining it, but he was just like, there's so
Could
many
have soaked this
steps.
with gasoline.
I love if the modern version of that would have been, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's a lighter and a bottle of Axe body spray. And that's how they took it down.
Would have been dumb frat
Weapons
boys.
are too readily available these days.
That's
Go to
true.
CVS and get a flamethrower.
Steve would have had 50 bottles of Axe.
So today, kids would have been like, why do you just go get a flamethrower from Walmart?
America. Yes.
But I did like how everybody had an arc. Like, it wasn't like on a lot of shows, you kind of get like somebody is stereo cast as a character. Juan's giving me a really happy, stupid face.
There's one exception.
Okay.
Barb. She had no arc.
There's no.
There was no arc for her.
Barb?
The nerdy friend of the girl.
Yeah, Barb.
No.
Barb.
Well, yeah, because she died. Like,
She was introduced as a nerdy character and like maybe this best friend will learn to become independent.
Yeah.
Now that her friend is going somewhere else, maybe she'll get in the cool crowd. Nope, she dies. And then on top of that, that's how it
No one
goes,
knows,
and
yeah.
no one cares.
no one did care.
Except for, what's his name?
Except for her
Sister.
friend.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
I didn't even hear from the parents anymore.
Even
It's like,
with-
could you
with-
tell her to call me when you see her?
yeah.
Shit.
And when they came back, like she was like, "What about Barb?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, she's dead." Oh, everyone else went away, and she left the opposite way to cry. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, she's dead." Whatever.
Oh my God.
She died, but we're all okay.
But we're good. We're good.
so bad. Well, aside from the people who died.
But the best part was that they just moved her car and were like, she ran away, and everyone was like,
Yeah.
"Cool."
That's a good point.
Whatever.
That's believable.
We didn't,
Wow.
we didn't want to make her leave, but you know,
Her
she's
parents
gone.
just did not care.
That's funny because there was definitely a lot you could have done with the character.
Yeah.
like they're just I think just kill her.
Nah, just go ahead and kill her.
But they said they're going to be. She's coming back for season 2.
Is she?
They're
What?
doing something with her in season 2. But
She
I don't know
didn't
if it's.
actually die. It was
Well, I don't know if
Vision.
it's she's coming back or like she's going to be like a prequel kind of thing.
Maybe like a flashback or something.
I think probably flashback.
Maybe a ghost.
It's supposed to be 84, so maybe a flashback. It's a year later. This new season.
Yeah.
The same characters?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're introducing 2 or 3 new ones. They have a Mad Max character, from what I understand, and literally the character's name is Max.
Oh.
Yeah. And
Nice.
the title of the episode
Was
plays
Mad
off of
Max.
it. Yeah, it is Mad Max.
It is Mad Max. Yeah, I saw the episode titles.
Interesting.
Very cool. There's some weird titles. I can't remember
Yeah.
any now to tell you, but take
There's-
my word for it.
There's some weird stuff out there, like a homeless loner character or something, from what I understand.
I wonder if it's gonna be like another monster. Since at the end, after they beat the Demogorgon, they're playing D&D again.
Yeah.
There's supposed
They
to be a
have
lot of those.
a bigger one.
Oh, that would be cool. Dude, I lost it because like we've been studying for the D&D stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been going through and reading adventure modules. I found the one with the Demogorgon.
I looked it up too.
Yes, it's something into the abyss, something abyss. And I was like, oh my god, guys.
After I finished, I was like, "Is that a real thing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm gonna look it up," and I saw it, and I read all about him. He's like some demon prince thing. I was like, "Oh, he looks pretty awesome."
That show made me realize how nerdy I was, because as we were watching it, like the D&D thing started, and Maggie looked at me like, yeah, and I was like, yeah. But then it kept going where they brought out the ham radio, and I was like, she was like, can you believe how nerdy you are? They got this. I was like, I have a license for that. And like everything that the kids did, I was like, fuck. Why can't I share something with Steve?
I was rooting for their ham radio teacher.
Yeah. Dude,
But he had that other teacher with him, and I was like, you get it, man.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, Mr. Nerdy Guy, you get that.
Let him get off of the phone, kids. He has to go.
That's what I was like.
exactly.
I was like, come on, guys, just leave him alone.
They were like, no, we have to reach another dimension.
I love how he just went with it, though. They're like, so if we were to create this thing, which is probably very illegal, I guess not a suspension thing.
No, it's just water and salt.
Yeah. But the
way he explained it, he was just like, why? And they're like, yeah, project? And he's like, okay, what you gonna need?
Yeah, he just went along with it. He's like, oh, you know what? I don't even care, guys. Just go with
He
it.
was like, I'm about to get some pussy.
He even asked him, he's like, you always tell us to pursue science at any point in time. So why right now are you telling us to stop? Looks at girl. All right, what do you want?
What do you want? Okay, just hurry up so I can...
Back when teachers used to be inspiring.
Yeah, that teacher was like, he made me wish I had teachers like that.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
so cool.
That guy was awesome.
I always got the sense of like, he was kind of nerdy, and the kids were nerdy, so, he bonded to them over that.
Yeah. I imagine if I were to become a teacher, I would have like a D&D club, and I'd be the one that got along with all the nerdy kids.
You can be the DM for them.
Probably.
That was the cool thing
Master
about
GM.
being a teacher in the 80s is you actually had those groups of kids that were interested in the things that you were telling them, so you wanted to tell them more, and you actually wanted to enrich their minds. Now it's just like people bitching about getting paid, and
I didn't want to be a teacher.
Huh?
That's how most teachers are. They didn't want to be a teacher. They actually wanted to pursue something in that field. Didn't work out, so they settled for a teaching job. And that's when you end up with the shitty teachers. And then there's the teachers that are like, I want to enrich young minds, and those are your good teachers that you always remember and actually teach you something.
Well, and you also have the other ones where like they start off like, I want to be a teacher, and then they're like, oh my god, I hate these children.
Yeah.
The youth.
That's the other 80%.
Yeah.
well,
10, 10, and 80.
children are a lot much bigger assholes now too.
But I like
Yeah.
how they use the teacher and like to also as like exposition points.
Yeah.
That he could explain stuff as he's
That's
explaining
good.
to the
That's a good
kids.
point, yeah.
He's explaining it to you. And
That's
like,
true.
Oh, very cool. It's done. Like the exposition was there, but it was done very well.
Yeah.
I also felt like he served the point of how would these kids be able to do the stuff that this huge scientific government program is doing without
Yeah.
at least a little help.
Yeah,
Because
now
D&D
now they would
in middle
just
school.
Google it.
Yeah.
But it goes
That's,
to the,
yeah. Oh my god, he was there. Google.
He was there, Google. He was.
he was available at all times of night.
He was there. I'm feeling lucky.
But
He
you know,
was
yeah,
feeling lucky.
I didn't even think about that, but that makes totally more sense too. Because like a lot of old movies, you're like, how can these kids pull some of this stuff
Yeah.
off by themselves? They're not that
Yeah.
smart.
They have, like-
Let's be real.
Bear
filling
Grylls
that
survivor
bubble.
skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 9 years old.
It's like no, it's like okay, they're legitimately smart kids,
Yeah.
and they're asking their teacher for stuff they don't understand, and he's helping them figure out things.
And Tom's right. Every movie now has that Google thing. There's like maybe every other movie has a scene where someone's on Google.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the standard now. But then they couldn't do that. So
They either had like a montage of people going to the library and looking through different books.
Stranger Things had that. Remember?
They did.
Yeah.
Had to go into the library, and they're sitting there on those old school computers. Like,
Oh yeah, the thing where they have the newspaper and it goes back and forth.
yeah, they even had computers, which is amazing for them.
Yeah,
It's the
that's true.
80s. It's just like personal computers are a real thing now. Yeah.
I love how what was the Hopper?
No, Hopper
That's
wasn't the
the
teacher; it was the cop.
No, I'm talking about the cops.
Okay.
yeah, Hopper.
I love how he goes in there and the other cop realizes that he slept with the librarian.
Oh,
The librarian man.
Yeah. What was the thing? Oh, okay. It was that I got the idea that Will was his kid. That Will was his kid because in the beginning, when Will's missing, the cops are his two other dumb cops. They're like, "Hey, didn't you used to have a thing with what's his face mom, Will's mom?"
Oh, yeah.
And he ignores him. And then the other guy ignores him, and he's like, "What? Well, was that a yes?" And then I think they bring it up later on, and I can't remember the exact detail, but I think
That'd be
either the
interesting.
cops say it or he tells Winona Ryder. You
Their
know,
dad was also like, Hopper's still the chief over there, the sheriff over there. It's like, yeah.
Like why would he kind of care about that?
He obviously has some sort of past turmoil with the guy.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I totally forgot, and I just remember. Yeah, that was my theory as I watched the whole thing. With that, Will was his kid secretly.
I didn't think about that, but
And
that
he-
makes
Well,
sense.
not even secretly. Maybe they just don't know.
That would
That's
be
true.
an interesting connection between Will and Elle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because Will, obviously, for some reason, that monster appeared to him. For whatever reason. He may have the same
But that was
connection.
because there's tears in between here and there.
Yeah,
'Cause it
but
also
he
showed up
specifically-
to.
But that monster specifically chased him down. That monster didn't chase anybody else down unless they were bleeding.
And it was also chasing down Elle, like hardcore.
That's a good.
So if maybe Hopper has like some sort of DNA,
I have the telepathic genes. What's up?
I really
He's got
want to.
interdimensional
I really
sperm.
want to argue with Tom, but he's right. Like the fact that he is the only one that wasn't bleeding. Everything else, like the monster, never showed up unless they were bleeding.
yeah. Well,
and that
did
thing
he-
just showed up in the middle of the road for Will. It was just like, bam, I'm here. What's up?
Yeah, that's true.
Like even when
He
Jonathan.
didn't fall or anything, right? He left his bike up there.
No, he was just walking with the bike.
Yeah.
No, he was riding his
He was
bike,
riding
and
the
it
bike?
appeared in the middle of the road, and he veered off and fell into the grass.
Oh, maybe did he not? Well, they didn't really show, but he could have hurt himself that
No.
way. But
No,
But it still showed up.
because even
Yeah.
with Jonathan and what's the girl's name? Nancy. When they were like going through the woods, it never showed up until they found like a dead deer.
yeah, that's true.
It didn't
But
come
then
after
again,
him.
it had to have like got after that deer already. It was like gnawed into and everything.
Unless a truck hit it, maybe.
Maybe
a
yeah.
truck. I was thinking maybe a hunter earlier, and
It
it had
had-
away.
No, they
like,
said,
it had to be
oh,
something.
look, a deer that got hit by a car.
But even that seemed weird because they were already a good ways into
were
the
in the
woods.
forest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
they're
could have got
surrounded
hit,
by
though, got up
trees.
and walked, and then fell over and died.
If that could happen, I mean, the same could happen to Will. He's right next to this facility. He cuts through there. He could have hurt himself, and that thing's already escaped from that weird hole in there.
That thing can pop up anywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, the same. You gotta have to assume the same thing. Either way, like either it came just for him, or it could have happened because he hurt himself. They don't see anything, so we can never like
Or it
agree.
could
But
have
it
just
came
happened by
before he hurt himself.
happenstance. It could have just been random bullshit.
I just assumed it was random because he's there. He's
Yeah.
there in front of the place.
he
He's-
happened to pass by when all this shit popped off.
But it chased him
Yeah.
down, and it didn't kill him. It just brought him over into the other.
He got into the other way, but he didn't like his little survive. I don't know how he survived over there.
Yeah,
Everyone
that's
else
actually
said.
true.
Why
He
are
was,
you
like,
smiling so much?
right.
Because I love that like none of this like that's the awesome part of this show is that we could just keep talking forever about it.
It's really good.
I know that's
But
why I
that's-
like
there's
it.
so
I'm
many
looking at
theories.
everybody talking with their theories, and I'm like, I want to argue, but you're right. But you're right, and like I don't have enough proof to like argue with you.
theories.
It was just all going to be theories.
Yeah.
It would make sense though that Will would be Hopper's, and if Elle is also Hopper's, they both have that connection. Because Will still has that connection. Obviously, it shows at the last episode whenever he jumps back into the
Yeah.
upside down.
Oh
out
yeah,
of
and he
nowhere.
spits out that little slug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he's got a
man.
connection to it, whether he gained it while he was there for some reason, you know.
Now he can see the other
I wonder
side.
if because maybe that slug was in him, he's still kind of connected to it. Because he was
Yeah.
when they
Has to
found him. Because first of all, they go and they find him, and he's already in this cocoon. He's got that thing in his throat. I thought it was like laying babies in him,
Yeah.
and maybe
Alien
Barb
status.
isn't dead. Well, she looked pretty dead.
Yeah,
No, when they
pretty
found her,
fucking
she
dead.
was dead.
If you said they're bringing her back, then maybe
Well, like
her
I
body's
said,
still being used.
the
to,
scene
like,
that I saw,
house
she was a
these
lot skinnier.
things.
So I'm imagining it's her younger.
Oh, okay.
Unless it was like she got one of those things and it was like one of those tapeworm diets and she lost like a lot of weight and came back. But it looked like a younger version of her from what I could tell.
Ah.
Because I was also thinking that Demogorgon killed everything that it was chasing, except for Will,
Right.
Didn't
because
kill
he
him.
got right on him. He could have just killed him, and eaten him right
When
there.
he finally found him.
yeah, like
Yeah.
when they're in the shack out back with the gun, he's right behind him and turns around and he's right there. He could just kill him, but he didn't,
Oh, why? Did
and he wasn't
kill him?
even wounded.
He took the gun with him, right?
He ran
Yeah,
out-
because
the
he
gun
fired
was
it later.
In the
The gun was. It stayed like in our world, not in the Upside Down with Will.
No, I heard him firing it on the other side when he was trying to talk to his mom. You can go, blah, blah, blah. Unless that was the other guy that went through.
I don't remember because I was. What if like he was able to just like shoot? Like the monster may have grabbed him, in that instant, like taking him into this parallel dimension, he able to shoot him just enough that he could run away, and the monster's still looking for him.
No, the bullets
Like in our
didn't do
world.
anything to that monster.
Well, it's
It
not going to
delayed him.
die, but
It definitely
distracted
it's like a
him.
stun. Yeah.
yeah, like it's not going to kill him, but it could be enough for a small kid to just scoot from under his grasp, basically.
No, but when it
The
found
Rock
him in his
stunned
like
him.
little toy fort and took him off, like
They could have killed him there too.
Yeah, like that would have been
Yeah.
like, no, this kid's dead.
Yeah,
But it took him and it put that weird slug inside of him instead of killing him.
Yeah.
Unless that is
But
the
that-
process of killing him.
Well, and it also
But
could
why-
just
that could be why Barb died.
But still, why?
Barb was alive until then, maybe.
It doesn't make sense. Why to go through? Like, why would you go through all that bullshit when you can just?
It also
kill
could
and
just
eat
be
'em?
random. It could just be like wasps when they put like their kids inside of something and then it eats them from the inside out.
Yeah.
It could also just be like I eat this kind of thing all the time, but I need one for my kids to eat. You know, it could just be one of those.
Does it even need to eat? What's it eating in that world? Like,
deer.
God, no, I
It ate
can't handle
the
these
deer in our
hypotheticals.
world. That's all I know.
Huh?
It ate the deer in our world. I mean, venison's great. I don't blame him.
But it brought it into his world to eat. He didn't
Yeah.
eat it
yeah,
out here.
because
But
there's
either
no
way,
food over there. What was it? What's it been
grabbed
living on
it.
before? Like, they don't show anything else.
They just show an egg,
Yeah.
like an egg that's just been hatched.
Maybe like with the type like a deer or something, like that would have to be food. But with like something like a human body, you can like
There was also
You can
only
do more
one.
make
with
Of
it.
them.
eggs.
Like humans are more important
Yeah.
than actual animals. There has to be something with that.
There was only one of them.
yeah
That we know of.
that we know
Yeah,
of.
we know
exactly.
because
Yep.
there was an egg in the middle of the woods, and there's an egg. What laid the egg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
How
yeah.
long has this been going
That
on
was in
for?
the Upside Down world.
Is this a fairly new occurrence in nature in that world? Like,
There's
I
so
don't think
much
we
to
can
do
get
with
down
that.
to the biology of Stranger Things.
I love the placement of how they showed you. You know, this world is right on top of our world, but different. When they're in the house, and Hooper and Winona Ryder are basically in the same spot
Yeah.
as they are, but no one can see each other. Like, man, that's so cool.
The lights thing was
with the
so
lights.
creative.
Yeah.
Yep.
I loved what they did with the lights and when she put up the Christmas lights. And I love when
Yep.
she was communicating with Will and he was like, "I'm here." And she was like how can you get back? And all you see is R-U-N. And as soon as I saw that I was like, "Oh fuck. Run, bitch, run."
Yeah, right. That was so crazy. That's probably he ran right after that because then the monster appeared through the wall.
Oh yeah.
So he probably, I don't know if he could sense him or maybe he heard him trying to communicate and was able to like, okay, he's over there somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
it knows where the tears in between these worlds are.
Because the monster had trouble tracking him
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
And it kept coming out of that same part of the wall too.
That's why I was thinking he can't make tears where he wants.
They
There's
just
already
happen.
tears somewhere.
But he
For
just
some
kind of
weak
busted out of
points.
that school.
Weak points. Or what?
He busted out of the wall in the school, which seems like a
That's
really random
true.
place.
That's yeah, but we hadn't really explored the school. All they really kind of remember, like, showed us was the woods behind the dude's house
Yeah.
and Will's house.
Well,
But-
it seems like
and
on his
shed.
own without blood, he can come through like certain tears because like when it came after his mom,
Yeah.
she wasn't bleeding, but like he would always come after that one hole.
But
as
he was
soon as-
after Will at that point.
Oh yeah,
Will was in the same place he'd been tracking Will.
Because Will was
So
at
he
that
was
wall
trying
too.
to
Yeah.
get Will.
but like if it was like, what if blood is the one thing that makes it like thirsty enough to come through on its own? Like other than that, it needs to find weak points. But if it senses blood, it gets so bloodthirsty that it can like summon enough energy. So like
Or it
That's
doesn't even
fucked.
need
I
to
don't
come
fucking
through
know.
until it senses something like that.
maybe I don't.
Maybe
I
it
don't
doesn't
know.
even perceive anything until that happens.
It doesn't have a face.
Yeah, it doesn't have
Doesn't
eyes.
have
so it's
eyes.
gotta
Again, we're
track
trying to get
somehow.
He's an
the biology.
interdimensional being.
Yeah, that's true. He's an alien.
The way they discovered him, I thought was really like cool and creepy. Like how Elle's remote viewing. She's in the isolation chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Everything's
first
all
off, I
dark.
love that she basically it's her thought crossing across through what seemed like through this plane to connect to whoever the target is. And then one time she goes in there and she sees the thing that lives on that plane.
You know what
And
that
I was just like, fucking shit, that's crazy.
You know what that reminded me of?
What?
In X-Men Evolutions, we talked about this in the X-Men episode.
Oh, the Nightcrawler thing?
Yeah, when Professor Xavier slows down Nightcrawler going like teleporting, and they find out he's going through a dimension,
Yeah.
and like they see a bunch of lava and stuff, and then when he gets to the other, when he comes back, they're like, okay, that was cool, you can come back now. And when he comes back, but then they notice that there's like a line because like him going in slow motion caused a tear, and then the monsters start coming out.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
that
terrifying.
Yeah, that reminded me a lot of this, where it was like a scientific experiment that kind of led through something, but then you leave behind some damage.
Yeah, you like if she found a way in there and the monster saw her, he saw her leave.
And the monster's like, oh, there's a way out?
Yeah, we can get out, and that created that little giant tear that's in the laboratory.
Yeah, that's probably exactly how that.
Yeah. But man, that was very scary.
It's also kind of like Jumpers.
Oh yeah. I was thinking, I've been listening to like some paranormal podcasts, and they recently on Friday were just talking about like thoughts and consciousness, and like are all in these, they're timeless and stuff. So like if you were to time travel, like maybe theoretically it would just be your thoughts, and that's why remote viewing was like an actual thing back then. So
Interesting.
that was, like all of that made me think of Stranger Things. Where like that's literally what she's doing. She's traveling through another plane that our physical body can't go through, but her consciousness like and thoughts can go through to get to another point.
And she's the only person with a psyche strong enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, she's the only one trained and for how, I don't know how, but she's able to do it.
But that makes the Demogorgon that much scarier, that like, there's a beast that can be like, oh, I think I can do this. And then it just does it.
Because it's a whole nother plane that we don't know about. So, of course, we don't know if we're cutting through taking a shortcut through somewhere else. Are there other things that are already on there?
Yeah, at that point, you would think that the Demogorgon wouldn't actually know that this plane exists until she comes from it.
Exactly.
And then he's like, I need to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
But he does it physically. That's the weird thing. Is
That's
that
the
he's
even
not doing
crazier
it with
part,
his
yeah.
mind. He's doing it physically.
He physically-
he sees
Yeah.
it happen through, like mental projection, I guess. And he's like, physical representation. What's good?
Yeah.
Well, and even then,
He's tearing through time and space.
But he
Yeah.
created
To
that
do
rift
that.
where we could actually go through it as well, though. So.
Yeah.
And now he allows
he
us to
did
go
it.
through it.
Did he do it?
I think,
Or did our interaction, because it's like
I think
she
the
tapped
interaction did
on
it,
his
yeah.
back. Maybe it's our world's interaction with that dimension that caused the tear.
Two different planes that should not be connected
Yeah.
did and caused like a rupture
Yeah.
in time.
And that's why those
and
spots
space.
keep coming up in random places. It's
because they're just all over.
our
They're just
dimensions are
ripping.
like in
you also have to
flux.
think about like how his senses, how extreme they must be, to where like she has to be in like an isolation chamber for her to just go around and then spy on somebody. But even then, the person that she's spying on doesn't know she's there.
Yeah.
I think she comes like close to where she thinks it is because she hears a noise, and all of a sudden he's like, "What are you doing here?" It just like can somehow tell when the person that she's spying on can't tell.
Yeah. Well, he's still. She's basically in the upside down at that point. But I feel like it's all black because she can't see anything else. She's in a very like faint level of it. That's why she's able to be in front of someone and they can't see us. They can't see the person.
Oh, so
but
it'd be
can hear them.
like he would be standing there and looks up and sees a ghost. It's basically her.
Essentially, but since that guy can't, she's on another plane. She's able to just stand.
No, but I
right
mean
there.
like the Demogorgon in his world, because
Oh,
she's
yeah.
traveling through his world. It might just appear to him like he senses something different, or like a ghost, like
yeah,
her.
it could be.
But
yeah.
she can't see anything because it's all black.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. That yeah, the more like we see what the upside down actually looks like, which is basically the same thing, but all like with crazy crap everywhere and dark. But like she's not strong enough to see all that when she was starting.
Yeah.
She just saw the target and nothing but black void.
What if she caused everything? Like her being able to have this power,
Is that
she created weak points in our dimensions.
I thought that's what it
trying to
was.
find a way. Like I
Just
don't know
the
if
fact that she's able to like jump into that probably initially caused.
That's what I'm
a
saying.
rip.
Yeah.
Like her
Definitely.
ability to do that is
Yeah.
what caused the initial weakness between the lines of our dimensions.
Until they finally just split after multiple times, because they've been sending her
Yeah,
to do
they-
multiple
yeah.
things.
She's been doing a lot of stuff. So
Every
that
time
creates
she's
a
making
lot
it
of
weaker and weaker.
I think that explains like the main hole that's in the compound. But then there's the other places where it starts coming out of are places that she's never had contact with, like
Yeah.
like in Sigourney. No, I was going to say Sigourney Weaver.
Winona Ryder?
Winona Ryder's house. Where what was their name? Barb? No, not Barb.
Barb.
Debbie?
I can't remember her name.
I can't remember anybody's name.
Deb, Joyce,
Joyce.
Joyce.
Joyce. Yeah. And God damn it.
like another plane of existence. We got the answer.
And Joyce is like in Joyce's house. 11 had never been there.
Yeah, and she never goes there.
But
Unless there is that
Will
connection.
has-
Unless that connection with Will.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fucking, I want to argue with Tom so bad, but he's raising some very good points.
Well, you
I don't
can't
know.
prove anything wrong, so you
I
can't really
know.
argue. So
Yeah,
no matter what
no.
any one of us says, it's just like, well,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's true.
aren't all the weak points around the facility though?
Some.
That
Maybe
forest
they-
is kind of around there.
Maybe that was like the training ground where it's like try to get outside, try to get right outside these walls, Mm-hmm. In which case, that's why those weak points are there, because she's already been there.
Oh.
She actually has been there mentally. It's just like, just try to push past the wall. To try to,
and then the other
push
places,
back that forest. Okay, now push back that.
Picture something else.
Yeah.
Find a spot, and every time you get farther and farther until she can do it.
Those are her baby steps.
Yeah.
And then the other places are places that Will have been, where it's his house or the school.
I'm wondering if
Maybe
there's been any
also-
indication that she's like recognizes these places, because she went straight to Will's house. Remember that? Mm-hmm. She's like, "Oh, I know where Will is."
That's
and she
true.
went straight to his house.
She went straight to the house.
You got to
She
think
knew how to get
maybe
there.
maybe she was supposed to spy on Will and Barb. That's why
because
she
of
knew
that.
who
So
they were.
maybe.
Because when she saw the picture of both of them, she
She
pointed
knew.
directly at them and knew exactly who they were.
I think that's more with her. She still had a connection to the Upside Down, and so because even when she listened to like the radio, she could be like, "Oh, that's it over here." Like she could tune into the Upside Down.
Yeah, but she can't listen to the radio and know exactly what they look like. Like she knew them. Maybe
She might.
Maybe she in her previous training missions, she was spying on them specifically for some reason.
I might understand Will. I wouldn't understand Barb though.
Maybe Barb is also Hopper's kid.
I think
Everyone is Hopper's kid.
They painted him
damn it.
as a dude in his youth that got around town.
poor Barb.
I'm not gonna give you Barb. I could give you Will, but I can't give you Barb.
Like,
I don't think I can do it.
Hey man,
But I want to. I want to so
it's
bad.
possible. Like they painted him as this like in his youth he was kind of a shitbag dude that had a lot of problems and
Screwed,
a
I'm going with
wanderlust overtook me after high school.
Yeah.
He's the
So-
Genghis Khan of the '80s. His
And
seed
then
is just
his-
everywhere.
Of a small town.
it's possible there are those dudes in small towns that just sleep with everybody.
I think
and
because she
have,
has like
15 illegitimate kids all over town.
because Elle can like jump into the upside down, like she can sense things in there. That's since it's already
Yeah.
practiced, so that's how she's able to find people and see them. Because they do show like the physical representation of when she's in there.
Yeah.
Like she's specifically looking for something, and she finds it in the shortcut.
Yeah, and even with her strong psychic link, she doesn't need to actually be there. She can just like listen to the radio or use like the radio at the school, and she was able to like pinpoint things.
It's all electricity.
She
That's why.
must have figured out someone was in that Will was in the upside down before she met the other kids. Maybe somehow like at the facility before she escapes. Or did she escaped that same night?
Did she escape because something happened to Will, and she was like, maybe I can help, and then she.
Because if you're able to go, if she's the only one able to go into that place, and you sense that someone else is there now, like
Did they show her escape?
No.
Yeah, they did.
she
They
comes
did.
out that little tunnel. Right?
No, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, did they show the scene where like she?
Yeah, they showed her breaking out of her cell and killing all the people all along her way through the facility. Like
remember
it's like
that.
security cam footage of her breaking out, and then she like mentally snaps this dude's neck and like throws this other dude.
No,
in the
that
wall.
I remember. That's when she like they were trying to throw her in the closet.
no, but that was only 2 people.
Yeah.
Because then the white haired guy, like he was happy that she killed those guys,
Yeah.
and he like comforted her back to be in that room. But I'm going with what Tom said because I don't remember, and you
Yeah,
just saw
I'm pretty
it. So.
sure
Yeah.
they did. Yeah, they showed the footage of her getting out.
Oh man, but I don't know. I figure like she has some kind of connection to. She must have known
'Cause,
he was in there
Well,
somewhere.
Will and Barb disappeared after she was already out of the facility, so she wasn't going back into the upside down after that.
Yeah,
Because when she was going, it was in the facility when they were submerging her in the tank and making her go.
Yeah.
She wasn't going once she got out of there. So how did she know that they were in there?
yeah. She can still connect to it, but she couldn't physically like connect.
Yeah, she
to
could
it.
still like see and.
It
feel
seemed like
things
she
in
could
there.
sense that like something was there, but as far as like telling you where they are and who they are, and like, or well, at least like I don't know what they look like or something.
We also
Why
don't know
would
the.
she know?
We also don't know the limits of her powers either.
No, we don't. But why would
That's
she know
true.
what they look like? That's the thing that always questioned about me. It was like, how would
I
she
don't
be
know,
like? I know this person's face because I've seen them and they're lost. Because she had that emotional like. Whenever she saw the picture of Barb, she had no idea who this person was. She had never had any interaction with her at all.
Barb would have been the complete.
That's true.
Like,
she
no
recognized
connection to
Will,
that.
but she didn't recognize Barb.
No, she did.
She
She pointed
did?
at the picture and she had a tear because she knew she was dead.
Yeah,
I need to go back and watch this.
I don't know,
yeah, I was
man.
about to say, I remember her being in what's her name's room, looking at pictures, and then she's looking at Barb. But I don't remember her acknowledging anything.
Because she was looking at pictures of her and all of her friends, just a bunch of random people, and she like pointed out Barb specifically and had it like her
I
eyes
remember that
started,
happened
like, tearing up.
afterwards. Like they did again when they were all in a group and they saw her and she's just like Barb. But I don't know.
No, she
I
was
remember.
alone.
No, I remember that one, but I didn't remember any acknowledgement there.
Yeah,
and
no,
then I
she was
remember when they
alone
were in
and
a
she
group.
pointed, and that was like she was like Barb.
I thought she was pointing at the sister in that first time. Maybe I don't remember.
I just remember her saying "pretty" a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find out in season 2.
Poor Elle. She just wanted to be a pretty girl.
I have no hair. Why do they keep cutting my hair? I want hair.
She made that dude piss his pants.
Oh, that was so
Then she
good.
broke his arm.
Yeah.
That made me happy.
Yeah.
Made me really happy, yeah.
Pulled out a switchblade. I was like, oh man.
I was like, come on, kid.
I hope you trip and fall on it.
Right?
Fucking bastard.
Yeah.
Were kids really that much shittier back in the 80s? In terms of like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
fuck.
So you get stories of like everyone being like really heavily bullied, except everyone was somehow okay with it back then.
Think about
I guess
it.
because back then, yeah, like you had like kids like
It was like, oh, it's just common. You bully.
like in fucking The Outsiders. Yeah. Everybody had like fucking switchblades and shit.
Now we have the internet where their outlet is being a fucking troll to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
back then it was physical trolling. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, we do have a lot of questions.
Too many.
I think everybody
I just
who's
need to
ever
know-
watched
yeah.
the show.
Maybe
Yeah.
season
Right.
2 will answer. Maybe it won't. Maybe we'll just have like. I'm hoping it's like, kind of like you were saying, like if it takes the route of American Horror Story. I hope
Yeah,
it doesn't.
me too.
In terms of like it one good season and then a bunch of really crappy seasons.
Trying to do a weird take on the same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Hey, did you watch the new one since you mentioned it?
no.
I watched that.
No.
This is my
stopped
first
watching.
time with FX, so the first time to actually watch it like in time or the show.
Yeah.
Very different, weird. I liked it.
I'm hoping what they do is like it's the same story, same characters, but it seems like every new season is like a new X-Files episode where it's a completely new mystery that comes about.
That'd
talking
be
about-
cool.
American Horror
Stranger
Story?
Things.
Okay.
No, that's Stranger Things.
Like this one was like with the Demogorgon and stuff, and they can maybe just leave the whole thing open. Maybe
This
the
is
thing
true.
that jumps out of Will never comes back. Maybe it just goes to a completely different town through the sewers.
I think people would be mad at that.
You think they'd be mad at that because they want answers?
Yeah, you got to give something. You gave that big of a like hint that something has crossed over into our world,
Yeah,
and Will still
They're
has a
gonna
weird
have to play
connection.
off
You
of
got to
it.
address it somehow.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because American Horror Story, from what I understand, I haven't really watched it, but from what I understand, it's like they do an entire season with a specific story,
Yep.
And then they
and then
call
the next
something
season
else.
is a completely different story with the same exact actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all play different characters, but it's yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that.
It's the same actors
Not
but
it-
different characters.
Yeah.
Well, that's stupid.
No, that's awesome.
It's
You
a
even
cool
watched it.
concept. It's a cool
I like the
concept.
idea,
Yeah.
but some of the executions weren't.
Their storylines
Fantastic.
vary from like
It's like
season to
communism.
season.
It's good on
Yeah.
paper.
Do they have paper over there?
What? No, they just write it on
Just
their
share-
hide.
Everyone
They write
shares
it
the
on
same
potatoes.
paper.
Everyone shares
Is that how communism works? I don't know.
potatoes.
Yeah, so
We'll find out in season 2.
yeah,
Guess so.
can't
Until
wait.
then, I'm Kramer.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Juan.
I'm Tom sometimes.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
Barb.
Barb.
Barb.